I didn't see, or nobody else, everybody else there didn't know what to do with an alligator. And being that we're so close to a residential area, we had kids. They were, leaving school, walking down the road, the sidewalks. We had a group of kids getting ready to do some cheerleading or football or whatever practice right there on the other side of that fence. And with the trapper over 2 hours away, or almost 2 hours away, it was, got to do something right then.
So you took
didn't want to leave him to,
hand. How did you know? No one else knew what to do. How did you know how to get that thing, corralled?
Well, growing up in the south end of Lake County, lots of waterways, lots of lakes and ponds, and we grew up where there wasn't very many people living down there at the time, so they'd cross the property back and forth. And my brother and I, growing up, we just, they got in our way, we move them. So just as a kid, learned to deal with a problem.
You really look like you knew what you were doing there. I mean, it didn't even look like a fair fight. How big was this thing, and how much damage could he have potentially done?
Well, being that he had crawled up into some bushes, had any of the kids that, our regular kids, they play basketball. If any of them had dropped a ball or thrown it out in the bushes and gone in there to get it, or even just to play, and they didn't see him, he could have done some serious damage to one of them. Or if he had come up on the field and, he could have really scared some kids or hurt somebody, and it just didn't seem like a good idea to leave him there and wait on a trapper.
It looks like he was pretty mad. I mean, he was sort of snapping at you at the beginning. What did you do? And then is it true that once you get the jaws shut and you kind of get behind him, then you've rendered him pretty tame at that point?
Yeah, I mean, the way when I got down on his back, the main important thing in my mind was just keep my knees behind his front legs, and keep my hands on the back of his neck, and pressing down, and that way he couldn't back out from underneath me. He couldn't turn around and get me. I was, sitting on top of him the way I was. And once he, expelled much of that energy, I was able to reach forward and pinch his nose down to the ground and pull both jaws up so that he couldn't, he couldn't fight me as much. And then the other officer you see in the video, he was the one that actually taped the jaws shut for me so that, it made it a whole lot more safe.
What did your boss say? Are you just now like the coolest person ever at this school?
He was in a lot of shock. He wasn't expecting to hear about an alligator on campus.
Is it true that during all of this, someone was driving by on a moped, a guy was driving by on a moped, and not to offer help, but instead to video what you were doing?
Yeah, we had. It's very true.
Well, we have our own John Berman alligator hunter here. Crocodile hunter? Steve Irwin, John Berman, I'm not sure. But John is actually, that's a big one right there. John, it's not as easy as it looks.
Yeah, that guy's roped up. I did, wrestle or subdue a much smaller one. And it is terrifying. I do not know how you did it. I have tremendous admiration for you, and I would never mess with you.
Thank you.
Jessica McGregor.